Live. 1 second. Bayhan. Did I say that right? Bayhan. We're going to have a little small business mastermind this morning. So I hope you'll grab your cup of coffee or tea or whatever your morning drink is and sit down with us. I asked Annabelle to come on today because, you know, we're in this great time of change. Nobody knows how this kind of economic collapse is going to rebuild itself or what it might look like. And I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and I know that in times of great change that we need to get super creative and find new ways to serve. And since I am a huge proponent of people finding their mission, bringing out their divine calling, I've asked Annabelle to join me to help you guys find that new, business adventure or side hustle that you want to turn into a more profitable stream of income, because Annabelle is one of my favorite coaches. She's the founder of the Women and Business Mastermind. She's a strategic business coach, and through her masterminds and coaching and courses, mostly focused on women in business, she helps people start, build, and grow their business. So Annabelle supports women on a mission to make an income and an impact by helping them make more sales online through smart business strategy and human-centered coaching. Annabelle's mission is to help more women make their positive impact by overcoming roadblocks, beliefs, and misfit strategies, keeping them from success. So thank you, Annabelle, for joining us.
Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that we are live. I don't think we are. 1 second, I have to double check. Okay, I think we are streaming. Hopefully they caught that intro. Yes. Hey, Kristen. Kristen, did you hear our intro? Can you let us know? Yes. Okay, perfect. I didn't want to repeat it. I'm still waking up, you guys, and it's 10 a.m. here for me. So I'm a slow start in the morning. Annabelle joins us from San Francisco today. So welcome. Welcome, Annabelle. And you are a busy entrepreneur. I know, mamapreneur.
Yeah. Yes, we always have something going on around here, but that is what makes life fun for me. I love being busy.
So tell us, Annabelle, like how you got into this and why, like, what's your mission right now? I know I read your bio out, and but like, what calls you to do the work you're doing right now?
I really like to see people in their place in the world. I think that it actually like pains me to see people when I worked in corporate, like almost like the Walking Dead. Like they're walking around and they just don't love what they're doing. It's very clear. Like everybody's complaining about their lives, and that's kind of what got me started. I was very frustrated with that. I didn't want it for myself. I didn't want it for other people. And I had this realization that like, it's not for everyone. Absolutely. Like business isn't for everyone. It's not something that's wanted by everyone, but there are people that, they know inside that they want to start a business, or they've started a business and they've worked so hard at it. And they're so frustrated because they don't feel seen and they don't feel like they're making their impact, but they know deep inside that there's something that they should be doing. They feel called. Like I felt called in college when I started hearing about all of these different online businesses and different ways that we could shape our lives and we could create our own thing. But I never knew I could do it. I had so much doubt because there hadn't been very many trailblazers in the area. There wasn't enough examples, and especially around me, I didn't know anybody that was doing it. And so I started digging deeper, but then I did what everybody else did. I went and I worked for a bank. you know, I went and I worked in a corporation, and those feelings of just like, I do not belong here kept coming up over and over and over again. But it wasn't until I had my son that I was like, enough is enough. They asked me to go back to work 3 months postpartum, and I was like 1000% not ready. Like, I looked at my son, he still needed me, I still needed him. Like, it was like not time to go back. And so I decided that, like, instead of having a side hustle, I was going to have a real business. And so that's when I started taking all the things that I was doing kind of on the side, like always trying to like experiment with this thing and make it a real thing. And that's when I started doing marketing and coaching pretty much like as my income stream. So that helped me stay at home with my son for the first 2 years of his life. So we definitely got extra time because I made that decision, but it did take a pivotal moment for me to decide that that's what I was going to be doing. And once I put that energy into it, that's when things like kind of started coming together.
Mm-hmm. And what have you seen with your clients? Like, what do you find is like the biggest roadblock for people to kind of start making an income and then keep it consistent?
Yeah, well, sometimes it's clarity, but a lot of times it's just knowing what that next step is, what that important step is to actually get a sale, because there's so many things that we can do. So I think like business in general can be really overwhelming because like there's a million things that you could be doing to bring business into your life or to bring sales into your life. And so sometimes we get consumed in the million things that we can do instead of doing the one or two things that could help us pay our rent next month. Or the one or two things that can help us build our funnel and bring more people in. And so I think that it's kind of like finding those areas of focus and those things that we can do, and then also knowing who it is that we're serving to motivate us. Because I think that sometimes we lack motivation or we fall off, and that lack of consistency can sometimes hurt us, especially as far as like how we're seen in the algorithms of Instagram and Facebook or anywhere else. And so I think that those are the areas of just like, if you're really clear about what you're doing, you're clear about who you're serving, and you know your next step, then you're going to be motivated to go and get a sale. Once you're having sales, then you're motivated to stay in your business because you know that it's possible to get the things that you want in your life. Because business is for like two purposes. Like, one, to serve the world, like your place is serving the world, but also to serve yourself. Like, nobody wants to own a business, design their own life, or have some sort of freedom that comes out of it. It's like totally part of what we want, and that's okay to want that. But sometimes people just forget that in their service, almost like where they're serving so much that they aren't making any money at all, or they're so going after the financial part that they forget to do the service. So
yeah, I know, I see that a lot too, and I find myself fluctuating in that over the years. Like, if you get, I find that when you have a lack of clarity, when I've had a lack of clarity, and then I'm just like stuck on, oh shit, I need to make money. And then you kind of like, all right, what was I doing? And then when you come back to your purpose, it's very easy when you're on purpose. And that's why, you know, I have to put my purpose first every morning and kind of remember like why I'm doing what I'm doing. And then when I simplify it and just take that next one step, it's easier. And, you know, I know a lot of people in my group, I asked everyone a question, like what was stopping them from starting their own business, and people wrote in. And those of you who are watching live, feel free to like write in and interact with us. I have my screen over here, so I'm looking here to tell us, you know, what stops you, or where you get kind of caught up from either launching or from keeping your business going. I've always been my own boss because, well, there was a time that I did work for a bank also. That was one of my first jobs. It didn't last very long. And I've tried to work for people, and I found myself like really unemployable because I can't handle anyone like rushing me, pushing me to do things in their time, or telling me when I need to be somewhere. And I found that even as my own boss, some of the hurdles I have is just like creating structure for myself, um, like waking up in the morning and like getting things going. And I find that when I gave myself permission to do it on my terms when I wanted to, and I decided to craft my business and my life to my own rhythm, because I always thought I'm not a morning person, and I get really creative in the evenings, and I work really hard and I do a lot of work, but not at the time, not the 9 to 5 hours. Like in the middle of the afternoon, I need to be outside, I need to be playing, I need to be relaxing. And in those moments is when I'm actually more productive. And I found that it's been really hard to give myself a break sometimes, because I think like, no, I have to stay here and finish this job. But then when I realize, well, actually, no, I really want to, go for a long walk or go to the gym or go to the beach or do something else. And then I come back, I end up getting that thing done in like a quarter of the amount of time than I would have done it if I like pushed. And I think all of you guys who work in companies know this, because most people, what I saw in the corporate world is that most people just sit there spinning. Like they're not actually getting anything done. I mean, they have meetings upon meetings, and then when they come back to their desk, they're like tired. They're trying to, um, stay up with their friends or like chat here, and then they get lost in some sort of Google search. And then like at the end of the day, like how much of your time is actually productive? And what I found is only about 4 hours a day. So I tried to like restructure my day around those 4 productive hours to be hyper focused so that I can have more playtime. And that's been like a game changer. And you've helped me do that too, Annabelle, with being my coach. Thank you. I think you're really good at that.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying is interesting, because this experience we're having in the world is going to also restructure how we go back into corporate world. And I think people are learning a little bit more about themselves. They are with their children, some of them, and they're juggling work. And so realistically, there probably are like working those 4 hours of like focused work time. And you see that when you kind of space things out and like kind of do things in your own rhythm, actually your work is more impactful. And some people, they're able to do their work in a corporate setting and it's safe and it's actually great. Like, if you're somebody that finds that you can do your art or you can do your expression and you are totally fine being supported by the structure of a corporation, this experience that we have being at home might just help rewrite some of that old like algorithm or way of thinking that we've been having in corporations, where everybody needs to be in a cubicle, everybody needs to be around their boss so that they can watch them, so that they can tell them what to do. Because what we're finding is that you can trust people, you can trust them in their work, especially when they're in their place of work. And that also opens everybody's mind a little bit more to the online world and online businesses and the people who are starting their own business. And how like there are so many things that we can do to interact with each other online. So yes, should I jump into our first topic? I think I was going there.
Yeah.
All right. So stirring up your reason for being. Why are you here? Like, I know AMELIA does incredible work in this area, and finding your purpose in the world, your mission, the thing that you are here to do. We all, I think, in some deep level know what is our reason for being. And there are times where we doubt that or we overwrite that by all of the things that have been input into us, all of that conditioning. So being a mom, I have really opened my eyes to conditioning and the things that can influence our minds from a very young age. And to rewrite that is very difficult, but intrinsically at our core, many of us know the things that if we really open our eyes and look at the world, what it is that we would change. And that is, you know, a couple people in your post had talked about, like, I don't have my big idea yet. Well, challenge yourself to think about, like, is it a big idea that I'm going after, or am I just trying to help improve the world in the way that I see it from my perspective? And our perspective is changing every moment of our lives as we learn more, as we bring more information into ourselves. And so it's okay that your business idea or your big idea might change over time. But if you can even see one thing that you can improve in the world, that is the platform for a business. And so we don't need the big idea to be the next Facebook or next big large corporation or next big global movement to make an impact. We just need to see one thing in the world that we can change. And so then the next hurdle becomes, once I see that, I need to stop myself from telling myself that I'm not the person to do it. Because if we do see something that needs to change in the world, then we are the person to make that change, because other people don't have our perspective. They don't have our knowing, our seeing of what it is in the world that needs to change. And so I would challenge everyone to dig deep. And like, I think I have this secret belief that like everybody could be a small business owner because everybody has something to change. Yeah.
I absolutely agree. I think that like my like ideal world is that everybody values themselves and is valued for their intrinsic nature and what they're bringing, because to me, it's like we all have such unique perspectives and they're valid and they're needed. And I think people get really stopped up by thinking like, a business owner means you need to know all these things, or you need to have this, these brilliant ideas, or they're thinking product based or this. And for me, I ask like, how can you serve? Because I think if we're thinking of service-based business, I mean, maybe that service is a product or something you're delivering or something like that. It doesn't need to be like a consulting or something like that. But how do you serve? How do you serve the world? Like, how are you contributing to making it a better place in some way, whether it's more beautiful or more fun, entertaining, useful, helpful, but somebody needs it. Somebody's going to jive with it. And if you're lit up by it, then you know you're on the right path. And I think any of you who are thinking like, well, what can I do? What can I do? Stop looking at everybody else and like trying to think, well, this is working over there, or these people are, because I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. They're trying to like copycat. And I really can't stand that. That's why in my school, I'm so focused. I'm like, stop looking at everyone, stop getting all these degrees. And some people are like addicted to like, well, I'm not licensed for this and that. Okay, maybe you're not. Maybe those are skills you want to get, but that doesn't need to stop you from serving today. Maybe you can continue. I think we all need to continually educate ourselves and build on our skill sets. But I think that every single person has something in them that they could be offering right now and being of service and making money.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you'd be surprised. I think it would almost be a fun challenge to tell yourself, like, I want to, I know I want to start a business. Let me start by not acquiring anything new, because many times we don't monetize the knowledge and the skills that we already have. And I think that that's also another reason that's kind of stopping people from opening businesses, is that they are constantly, like what you're saying, reaching because they're seeing something that someone else does, and that somehow reflects on themselves some like lack of worthiness to show
total self-worth lack. Yeah.
And it's not like, actually, like what you were saying, like if we tap into our own value, there's like a million things each of us has that somebody else needs, and I'm not saying go monetize them all, but pick the ones that like you really love doing, and like, it, like you were saying, lights you up to actually provide someone else. And if you can monetize that, then you have a business. And it's so simple, really. I think we overcomplicate things. a lot of times.
Totally overcomplicate it. And then we compare to the point of like being crippled by it. So like if you're thinking to, I don't know, I'll take myself, for example, before I wrote my book, Synchronicity, I had another book in the works for like 10 years and I couldn't finish writing it. And I was working on it off and on as much as I could, took many like weeks off to just like incubate and work on a book. But then it was like getting embarrassing because I couldn't finish it. And then Eckhart Tolle came out with A New Earth and I read it and I cried, but I was angry. It was a brilliant book, but I was angry because I was like, he stole all my ideas. Like, and he's Eckhart Tolle and he did it in such a big way. And so then I shelved it. I shelved it for years. And I had to get over this whole thing. Like, it doesn't matter that someone else is talking about something similar. And if you see our books now, they're completely different. Nobody would even correlate the two, right? And yet it's still, I'm touching people's lives and it's helping a lot of people. And yet I probably wouldn't have done it if I stayed stuck in that mindset. And I think everybody goes through that and we have to get over this. Like, who am I to do that? Or I'm not going to be the next Oprah or the next Eckhart Tolle. And so then we just don't do it. That, I think that is like a slave mentality that's been programmed in you to keep you small. So I would say, F that voice, and get over yourself and like take the next small step, because maybe it's just something, you know, for me, I just started writing a moon blog or something. And sometimes I think, well, nobody's, it's not serving anybody. And then I get messages like, I've been reading every single one. And it's like, oh, wow, it is touching people's lives. So please, friends, find how you're going to serve.
Yeah.
Start serving. Yeah. Okay. What's the next point, Annabelle?
Yeah. So I think the next thing is to start a manageably sized business. When we start businesses, most likely you are making money a different way, or you have other things that you're doing. So kind of what you're saying is like, don't compare yourself to everyone else. Like, I, as a mom, can't compare myself to a 23-year-old who has a ton of time and no responsibilities and very low like bill requirements to have that same scale of a business. And so I have had to also, you know, kind of what you're saying is witness people grow much faster because they just have more capacity to grow their businesses really, really fast because they have more time and energy to put into it. But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't have a business. And because somebody else is doing it doesn't mean that I shouldn't have a business. I mean, as human beings, we need to hear things several times for them to really resonate, stick in. And so actually having more point of views really does matter. And so one person could hear the same thing from 5 different people, and then it would finally set in for them. So yeah, get over that hurdle. If someone else is doing it, it's totally okay. It just means that they are opening the marketplace and helping communicate that there's a need. You might be the person that fills that need, or you might just be part of the conversation. I think that that's part of what businesses are, is like stirring up this like, okay, there's a problem in the world, or there's something that we can better in the world. Let's all talk about it and find solutions. And then there'll be solutions at different marketplaces, and people will arrive at the solution that is right for them when the time is right and through the voice. But it could be like a culmination of several conversations that they've had over time. So in many ways, you know, I know one person had mentioned like this fear of like this competitive landscape. And in many ways, actually, the competitive landscape is helping us so much. Like Eckhart Tolle might have awakened or talked something into somebody who later finds your book and then works with you. And it could be vice versa. You just never know. But we're just having these conversations that are bringing and stirring things up in people and getting them ready and preparing them for solutions and change in their life. And so that's really important. And then the other part is my business can be the size that I can have capacity for. So I first started kind of really looking at this. What was that?
I think that's the hugest point, is like people are thinking that it has to be so big, or they're thinking that they need to create so much income. But if you actually really do the math, it might not be as big as you think. It could be something quite manageable, and it should be something manageable, because otherwise we kind of get over, over, I forget the word. I'm still like needing more coffee, but when you're not able to handle the capacity that you've created for yourself. Like I did that when I launched my book, and it was like, 10,000 downloads. And then I closed the book. I turned it off. I literally pulled it from the publisher and waited a whole year and decided to self-publish. I couldn't handle it. It was too much growth too fast. And I realized that's not my style. I'm more organic, touch points. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And you want to be prepared, especially like when you have like a service-based business, you want to be prepared for what's coming back, because if you put out like, a ton of marketing and then you get like 500 clients that want to work with you and you can only work with 5, then like, number one, you put out a bunch of resources and time into something that is just bringing people in, but like you're not able to meet it at the other end. And that's like a weird relationship, right? So I think that being honest with yourself about the time, capacity, resources. So like, let's talk about, like how much money do you have? How many like hours a week do you have, or an hour a day that you have to put into your business? How much brain power, like that type of thing. And it's okay to start at any level. So what I was saying before is that I started thinking about this when I started working a lot more closely with moms, and because before I had a mompreneur circle. So before the Women in Business Mastermind, I had a mompreneur circle, which was all focused on moms. And it was because of my need, because I was challenged. I also like came to this place where I was like, okay, well, half of my life is being a mom, and then I have a few hours a day where I could help other people. And let me figure out how to do this, and let's bring some women together and try to figure this out together. But then I realized that it's also the person in a corporation that's trying to pivot into a business, or the person who has a regular job or another business and wants a side business. And so there's these capacity issues everywhere. The story that comes to mind is I had this mom, and she came and she was so concerned because she was a nurse, she was a mom, and she had like a small bow shop on Etsy. And she, what she was serving the world with was delight. Like we could serve the world by spiritual transformations. We can serve the world through business strategy, and we can serve the world through hair bows. Like there are so many ways that we can make people's lives better. Like, don't be afraid that like, your impact doesn't have to be humongous. Like, just imagine like somebody wearing a hair bow every day, and then maybe they're wearing a hair bow, they feel happy, and then they go make a spiritual transformation in the world. You just never know. Like it's all a rippling effect. Exactly. And so, but she was so worried because she was wondering how she could compete in this world of hair bows. And, when I talked to her, and I just said, like, be okay with being small. And you could tell that these layers of like enormity just fell off of her. And she's like, oh yeah, like I could just start a business with the time that I have. And that's totally awesome. And then as we see, the more that we make money in that business, the more that we could hire other people, build the economy, help them serve their purpose in the world, and build greater capacity for ourselves. And so, don't be afraid with starting small, because it can lead to something bigger. It doesn't mean that you'll be small forever, but it also means that you'll actually start. And I think that that's like something that like, that's a roadblock we all kind of go through. It's like, okay, I want something bigger. I see a bigger vision, and like, we are meant to do so many things in this world, but for us to get to that vision, we got to start where we are today. And so like kind of breaking out of that, oh, I can't do it because I don't have this thing, and waiting for later, just like wipe that all off the table and like try to rewrite that. I'm going to do this because of the resources that I have right now, and I'm going to shape it into what it is that I can do right now. And that's going to get a lot more people started, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, do you have any tips for like how for people to get over, like, Yutaka wrote in, he said he was like, how to get over his own neurosis or anxiety or self-esteem issues or excuses to stay in his comfort zone.
Yeah. So the third topic we were going to talk about today all kind of flows into that. So this is the deep level of personal journey that goes into entrepreneurship. So, yes, we may feel safer in a corporate job, but we might also feel unfulfilled and we may not serve our purpose in the world. So the opportunity cost of that to me is humongous. I also think that a lot of times anxiety is actually energy pushing us into the direction that we're actually supposed to go. And there are other attributes of anxiety, you know, like diet and what it is that we're putting into us as far as information and those type of things. Like there's so many layers to anxiety, but one is us sitting in the wrong place in the world. And I felt that. I always felt this energy of I'm supposed to be doing something else, and that bugged me. And if that's bugging you, that's good. That's your energy that you actually probably should be putting somewhere else. So we can control these types of things in ourselves as if we don't look at them like they are our blocks, or we don't look at them like this is the place that is stopping me. Because I think that anxiety is one of the things that people say makes it so that they can't do anything else. And I know when you're in it, it feels like that, but that's also due to our beliefs. So for a long time, I believed that I was afraid of public speaking. I was so afraid of it. And I believed I was. But actually, I wasn't. I was actually meant to talk to people a lot. So somewhere in my head, I had started believing this. And I think that anxiety is the same thing. Oh, my anxiety, I can't do this. I can't get out there. I can't work through it. But actually, the more that we do, the more in tune we come into that place where we do feel grounded. Because when you're doing what you are supposed to be doing in the world, you become more centered. And you start being more able to push out the things that don't serve you and say no to them. So that is like kind of controlling what information, what feedback you're getting and putting into your body. What food you're putting into your body, because you want to come into this place of, like you were saying earlier, service. And if I'm in a place of service, then I feel grounded because I know that I'm moving forward towards helping someone else. And so it's actually outside of our emotions and our physiology completely, because we are just in this place where we are working towards serving somebody. And so that kind of takes that all out. It's like, okay, well, it's not about my anxiety today. It's about that person. You know, and then also, yeah, rewriting that script around, let's see, I have a list here: anxiety, fear, staying in your comfort zone, fear of failure, fear of money, fear of responsibility, fear of competition, and fear of not being seen or able to stand out. All of these were just talked about in your group, and they all have to do with this place of resonating with who you are and serving instead of being about yourself. Because business, although it allows you to shape your life, is not actually about you. It's about the transformation. So what you are doing is monetizing your ability to create transformations. So to have a transformation, you have to serve somebody else. So I think that, yeah, don't let that stop you. I mean, be real
so
with
it's like get over yourself.
Yeah, yeah, kind
No,
of.
that's
Yeah.
it is. I have to tell myself that sometimes when I feel stuck. And here's the truth. I don't know any business owner that ever, even the most successful people I know, which you know are uber wealthy, who don't feel nervous or get into these moments of doubt and fear and anxiety and competition and lack of worth. Like every single person at every level of the stratosphere has these feelings. That's called being human, and it's something that each one of us has to get over. And for me, the way I get over it is to just really focus on what I'm here to serve and how I can make the world a better place. And what it comes down to is like, do I want to be a slave or do I want to be self-actualized? I mean, for me, it's always been that since high school. It's like, I don't want to be a slave to the system. I don't want someone dictating everything about me. I want to be responsible for myself. I want to feel that I can create financial independence and a lifestyle that I love. And the only way I know how to do that is to be my own boss and to really claim this. And I think, you know, being a business owner is a path to ascension. It is a path of like deep spiritual transformation, because like you're just saying, you have to get over all your false beliefs. You need to instill some stronger beliefs. You need to find community and cheerleaders. And, you know, many of us were raised in families that weren't supportive. I mean, my family has been my worst enemy in so many ways, especially with my business. And I had a lot of early success when I was young because, you know, in my 20s, I was really bold and I didn't have a lot of the doubts that came later on in my life. But man, I think my mom was designed to like keep me super humble or something, because she didn't allow me to like gloat in any win. Like anytime I succeeded, it was sort of, you know, there was someone there to kind of, I don't know, damper it and not allow me to celebrate. And I had to get over that. And so I think that, you know, when we run a business, one, it's a constant, you're always going to learn. There's always going to be something that you don't know. So you have to keep the student mind, which is the ideal place of being a spiritually humble person, right? You have to be willing to say, I don't know how to do that, and I'm going to have to learn that or ask someone to help me with it. You have to get over yourself every single day, every moment, and then just keep showing up. And I think that's what we're here to do. Like, if we really want to make a solution in the world, like right now we're at such a turning point in our life, right? Like in the world, history is never gonna be the same. Like something's about to be birthed forward. And for me, the ideal thing is that everybody just takes some ownership in that and says, well, I'm going to start offering this. I'm going to start offering that. Like, what if your jobs never come back? Like, I hope that doesn't happen for some of you who are, you know, because that could be a really harsh reality. But I think we have to support people and invest in people, not in keep giving our money to corporations and these corporate entities we don't even have a face to. We probably don't know their values and ethics. And, you know, in business, in small business, when someone's unethical, they go out of business. Like, people don't invest in like things that are kind of askew. Like, the community heals itself, right? And I think you see that in small business, like someone who's like, kind of falsifying whatever they're selling, or, you know, kind of producing crap and it's not working, or it's not doing what it promises to do, they're not going to succeed in business. So I think it forces a level of integrity and authenticity. And sure, it's not as easy as showing up to just get a paycheck when you just clock in and like sit there, you know, numb all day and watch your favorite Netflix while the boss is not looking, right? Like, it requires you to like think for yourself and have solutions and be creative, but you're going to be more fulfilled. Like, you're going to have that creative spark, and you're going to be with other people that are actually trying to do something beautiful on the planet for others, or create something, I don't know, that I think lights us up rather than numbs us out. That we have to escape and take a vacation from, you know. Like, I think that our lives should be more balanced. And maybe during this time of quarantine, you guys are getting a sense of what it feels like to, you know, be at home with your families and do different things that you wouldn't do. Like, oh, well, maybe I can translate this thing I do online, and you didn't know you could do that. So I'm hoping that this incubates a lot of creativity for people.
Yeah, and, you know, make the time worth it. We are not commuting, which, you know, I always like have this struggle looking at the commute and how much time people spend in the commute. You don't have that right now. So even if, like, we're talking about, you know, building a business at your capacity, even if you take the time that you normally would spend commuting and put that into building something that may be on your heart or your mind, just know that the work you put in at the beginning often makes things a lot easier. So once you get it up and running, like, it is a struggle to get a business up and running. I get that. But once you get it there and you're starting having conversation and doing your work, a lot of the kind of foundation is is landed, and you can then just do your work with whatever capacity you have. So you might be stressed out about, okay, if I do have to go back to work and my business isn't like at 100%, like, you know, replacing my salary yet, what can I do? Or once the world opens up, what, you know, will this be worth my time? We'll make it worth your time. Just know that you're laying the foundation, and then in whatever capacity you have, at whatever scale you can continue running that business alongside anything else that you ever have to do. And then eventually you can flip that where you are, you know, working a little bit less on the things that don't serve you as much or make you feel numb, and you're running your business, and then eventually maybe your business will take over your life. And that's kind of what I really want for people, so that they can design their life, and you can do whatever it is that you want to do in your afternoons, or you play, or, you know, having a business is hard. It's a lot of work, but it gives you so many more freedoms. So if that's something that you want and you're frustrated,
and it's satisfying work, right? I mean, I think that, you know, when you get a new job, for example, you still have to train on the job. You still have to learn new things. And if you see your business as like an awesome challenge for you to grow and expand and step into, and then for me, I think knowing where I get stuck and being able to identify it and find the right help, that's probably one of the trickiest things. And I think that's where having a coach like yourself, or being in a mastermind, or getting a mentor, a guide, someone to help you, right? Because we can't do it alone. And I think there's this idea that like you either have to do it alone or you need employees. Like, can you talk about like how someone could just start on the side without burning themselves out, or like what are the smallest steps they could take?
Yeah. So I think the very first step would be to like get real with your capacity. Write out your favorite or most perfect day when you would work on this business, and then just be real. Like if it's literally 30 minutes a day, then you need to start a business that requires 30 minutes a day of your time. And so like start with that, because then you have the platform. You know, also I would say add in there like what financial resources you have to put into it. And then build it from there. Like I always say, you can build a business in literally one day online. So just think about the leanest way that you could do it. And I think the leanest way that you could do it is like through Facebook groups, like maybe having a website with a domain. I mean, it makes you look fancier, but you don't actually need it. Like you could literally have a Facebook page and start talking to people on Facebook, and that could be your business. And you could do that for a half hour a day, and then do things like this, like a Zoom call. Just don't overcomplicate things, or like what you were saying earlier, like look at what other people do and then say like, oh, I need that. Like people have amazing storefronts. They have amazing like courses online, and they're paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars to do that. Just know that you don't need that. If you have that, great, go ahead and build out those things, but challenge yourself to start as lean as possible, because that is going to not make you feel like you have to overwork. Because when you are chasing those first sales, it feels awful if you already have like a pile of things charging you money in your business and you're like, I just want to break even. So I would say that it's very important to really be real about what it is that you have to bring to start the business in the first place. Like, and then the other thing is to have those future goals. I think it's very motivating to say, you know, eventually I would love to have a team around me to support me in like large Instagram campaigns and large Facebook campaigns, and do all the Facebook ads, and just bring in this like consistent funnel of people into my business to help me grow and be seen in the world. But that it's not necessary on the first day. It's not necessary even in the first year. Like,
and some people like I see a lot of my own students, they get stuck with like, they have an idea and then they're all gung-ho about it. And then they start getting tripped out like, okay, well now I need to go buy all this new equipment. Like someone has an idea for say a YouTube channel. Okay, now I need a mic and a camera. I'm like, no, do you have a phone? You have a phone. Like just start with your phone. Oh no, but then I need to learn how to do all this software, and then I need to learn how to do this. Okay, then I'm gonna take another course and do that. And it's like, okay, you don't need to do all those things. So if you're spinning out like that, any of you listening, I would say just stop and always think of like, what's the smallest way to get there? Like I'm super resourceful like this, because I think also people say, oh, I don't have a website. oh, I don't have a Facebook page. You know what? You don't need that. If you have someone's contact in your phone and you can text them, start there, because maybe that's your mode. Like, don't do what everyone else is doing because it's like a trend. Like, oh, everybody has a YouTube channel. Well, maybe you should be on some other channel. Like maybe it's Snapchat for you, or maybe it's like maybe you love some other app that's there. Like, find what you love and start as small as possible. Like as small as possible. Just make one step. And I think when, like, we all go into this, like we over plan and we sometimes overreach and think like, oh, now I need to script out every little thing that I'm going to say. No, just turn the camera on. I did a challenge for myself once because I was having such a hard time showing up in this group. And many of you remember I did like a 30-day video challenge, and I just turned the camera on. I had no idea what I was going to say, but I was going through shock and grief. And yet here, I'm calling this Master the Art of Change. And I was in this massive change because my best friend had died and I had gotten bit in the face, and I didn't want to look at I was feeling embarrassed to show up with my, face kind of healing from that. But I just showed up. And then it kind of gets you over your psychosis that happens, that we all go through the mental thoughts. Somebody did write in, there's some questions coming in, so I want to read those out to you, Annabelle. Michelle says, what's your perspective on how to create a more clear value proposition? Tips, given the current vibe of anxiety out there right now.
Yes, I'm actually so glad you brought this up because I forgot to mention one thing about this. So niche, value, what you bring in the world. We all show up with so many assumptions, and it's good. We need an assumption about the way that we can help the world. But for us to really learn, for us to really know our value, we need to dig deeper into what it is other people are actually going through. So you got to drive empathy in yourself through pushing yourself to have conversations about what it is that you think that you want to do with the people that you know might need it. You've got to reach out and just start the conversation from the point of view of, I just need to know how deep this value could go. I want to build empathy. I just want to know more. And when you're seeking that knowledge and you're starting that conversation, I mean, yeah, it might start sales for you, but that's going to give you so many ideas about the value that you bring in the world. So a value proposition is really just talking about the transformation that you are creating, but you don't know the complete transformation that you can create. You assume and you bring your perspective, but every transformation is a two-way road. And so digging deeper into what it is that people are needing is a challenge, because for a lot of us, we want to start a business without having a conversation. And we may not know what it is that we're bringing into the world. And that is your intuition telling you that you need to have more conversations. Because once you start, and even if you were to start to provide some of your services to somebody and start understanding and ask them those follow-up questions of what it is that you're feeling right now. Let me get deeper in this with you and really get down to the core of that. Your value proposition unfolds itself because your empathy becomes so strong about what it is that you're providing. Then you know without a doubt that you want to continue making those transformations. You know how you did it. So that's what a value proposition is, right? I know what it is that your problem is. Put that down on paper. I know the ways that I'm doing it. So I've tried out these things and this is how I'm doing it. And it brings this benefit, which you get that terminology, by the way, through these conversations, through talking to your people. And the outcome was this. So then they're telling you. So if you feel like you only have one road of that conversation, then you need to talk to other people to get the other road back. So you get all of those words and let people tell you. And then all you're doing is collecting this information from these experiences and then putting it on paper in a way that would resonate with more people in the situation that need the outcome and transformation that you can provide. So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, let us know, Michelle, if you have further questions. I find that really helpful. I think, yeah, we get so caught up in what we think we're offering, and it's really important to just check in with the people that we're serving and find out what their problems are and how your skills bring a solution to that, and then your unique way of solving that and what the outcome is. Because we can say, oh, we do this, this, and this. And if people are like, oh, okay, what's that like? How does it apply to them? So you need to really make sure that they understand how it applies to them, like what reach them and their pain points, right? And how you're gonna create that transformation for them. We have another question from Alvaro. He says, could you give us 3 business ideas that can work in this new reality that's going to require social distancing?
Oh yeah. So in my mastermind right now, I have a bunch of women that are all pivoting their business online. So I'll tell you kind of their field and some other fields that I've seen thriving right now. So anything that has to do with people, right? Coaches are huge right now. People are investing in themselves like crazy, even though it might not feel like it. A lot of people are. So coaching is huge. Delight, right? Anything that has to do with delight. Jewelry. It could be like painting rainbows on your window. Teddy bears to put, like we have a movement in San Francisco where you put a teddy bear in your window and then you put it on a thing and all the little kids walk past and they look in your window and look at your teddy bears. So teddy bear companies, one of the strangest one is like floor stickers. Like, yeah, let's get out of our heads and just think about all the things that we
these
can
are
do
bizarre.
away from each other. Like there are so many things that can make money. You know, go back, like it's great to go, like I feel like that question is a little bit reaching where it's like, oh, please provide me or serve me an idea on a platter. Well, you know, what's the number one thing we probably all need right now? Okay, I'll serve you one. Actually, I'll just give you one. We all need human connection right now. Find a way to serve that, because that's a problem that we all have. We need a way to connect better. We need a way to connect deeper, and we need a way to do it in this new reality. People need to know how to network online. People need to know how to connect, and there are lonely people in the world. And so that's been something that's been on my heart, and I would love for, if you're looking for a business idea, I just want one, there you go. Help me in that to make people feel more connected. Because yeah, that like this whole situation, like that's the problems that we're having. So that kind of goes into that conversation of I'm looking for a business idea I don't know. This shifted the needs and problems of human beings. So think about, you know, either for yourself, what are the things that you are experiencing that just suck? That's a problem to serve, right? What are the things that you are experiencing that are better? That's a problem to serve. So everything that has to do with anything you can do at home is also really huge right now. So pivoting like fitness to the home, pivoting like crafts for the home. Like I think the most searched like YouTube video right now is how to make your own bread. So you could teach online Zoom classes about how to make your own bread with stuff that you have at your home. Like it's so simple, and the problems are so like outstanding. Like there's so many problems to serve in the world that actually like it's more businesses than you could ever make. So kind of bust out of like, oh, I need my big idea to, oh my God, there's so many ideas out there. I just actually need to choose one that I want to actually put my energy into right now.
Yeah, and I'd like to add on to that. I think that there's a few things that come up, like a lot of people feel like they don't have the tech savvy, or they, or maybe their business doesn't translate to that, or that they don't know how to charge for something like that. So there's a lot of different ways, pricing models out there. Is it called Periscope or something? No, like Periscope, right? Yeah,
Patreon?
whereas
Patreon, or maybe
Patreon. Thank you. Patreon, I'm not on there. But I know Patreon is like a membership site. So you could have something like people are doing micro memberships. You could have a YouTube channel that you grow and you get advertising on, you monetize your channel. That can take longer. You can, you know, be on Instagram and start, like you need to look where your strengths are and where what do you want to do all day? And like, if being online and on the computer isn't your thing, like you need to think about the other issues in life. Like for me right now, a big thing that's coming up is like food security. I think if you start looking at the trends, like where is this leading us? I think we have a huge issue. Like everybody should be growing a home garden, but people probably don't know how to do that. So maybe online gardening classes, or just seed saving and seed reselling. There could be all kinds of new business opportunities, but I think helping people become more self-sufficient and self-reliant and calm and without stress, and I really urge all of you to look at the place where you're getting most triggered. Like what's pissing you off the most in this time or in life, and start there, because that's probably where you're gonna really excel at serving, because it's gonna give you drive. Like anger to me is such a sacred energy. A lot of people are afraid to feel their anger, and that makes me sad, because it's our anger that calls us into action. It's like when you get angry, you create a boundary and you're like, no, right? That I'm done. Well, that's the solution that you're here to help solve. So like dig into where you're getting uncomfortable. Like for me, it was, I'm not going to be a slave to some white dude that's my boss telling me what to do. Like that's what triggered me to be an entrepreneur in the first place. I remember I was in Israel backpacking, and I was trying to make money as a waitress, and I had 20 jobs in 6 months, because every couple of days I would get so angry at the boss, because in Israel, they're very rude, and your waitresses are not treated the way they're treated in California, where they're like, you get paid minimum wage and you get really good tips. No, in Israel, you only get tips, and you're treated like kind of, second-class citizens. So every other day I was like getting angry, and then I realized, okay, enough of this. I'm never going to work for a man again. Like this is horrible. We need the fire, right? Like if I didn't have that amount of rage, I don't think I would have ever succeeded in business. Like it drove me. So don't be afraid of getting a little bit angry. I mean, and transmute it. I'm not saying like take it out on somebody, transmute it to solution. Like go in and be like, well, how do I solve that problem? Like, because if you're angry, you have a solution. You're angry because there's a different way. That's the point of the anger. There's another way to do this. So what is it? So yeah, I hope that helps, Alvaro. If you have some ideas that you're thinking of and you want to like test them out here, go ahead and write in. We have about 5 more minutes. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, I love that idea of anger and using it to bring out and being okay with all of your emotions. So one of the things that we always say in parenting, and I know I keep on bringing up my motherhood experience, but this has been a huge journey for me in understanding our conditioning and our emotions. So kind of similar to what AMELIA was saying, I always grew up thinking that I needed to be nice. And even in the corporate world, I was too nice. And what we know about the corporate world is actually sometimes when you're a little bit abrasive, you're successful in the corporate world. But being nice was something that was really conditioned deep down in me. So like, if you feel like you aren't angry, start kind of tackling your belief on your emotions. And that will help you kind of get deeper into, okay, let me stir something up. Let me stir my own pot. Let me figure out where I really am uncomfortable and let me feel into it. Because there's probably a lot of concern that we have for ourselves right now. I know a lot of people are concerned financially. AMELIA said about food, about connection. It's like the extroverts' like worst nightmare to be in isolation, but also the introverts need human being too. So let's think about our needs as human beings and then feel into the feelings that we're having. There is many a financial coach that has started from being so afraid that they aren't going to be able to pay rent tomorrow. there is like many a like spiritual awakener that was so afraid that they wouldn't have meaning or purpose in their life. So yeah, I guess I kind of went into fear here, but then also anger is like, what is it that you're like, I can't stand to see this in the world anymore. So can we stand to see corporations getting all this money and help and support and all these small businesses like dying out? Or do we want to help our small businesses? So as consumers, let's get angry and put our dollars where it really matters. And then what other things are kind of like just bugging you? You know, it doesn't have to be like all outrage. Like if something's kind of bugging and pulling at you, feel into it more, journal about it every day. And then you're going to start seeing these solutions, these ideas that you come up, because as humans, like we have like unlimited capacity for creativity. And sometime we're going to land on the idea that we care about the most. And that can be the thing that you care about the most right now. Don't worry about over branding it, over complicating things. Just figure out what is the thing that I care about changing or helping the most right now. And let me put up something in a simple way. Maybe it's a text message. Maybe it's a WhatsApp group. Maybe it's a Facebook. Maybe it's a full website. Like, get started with what you have, the resources you have, the time you have, and like, just get it done. Because, you know, there's no better day than today. Like tomorrow isn't going to make it better. None of these things are going to go away tomorrow. But I will say from personal experience and from the experience of many people that I know, that there is so much regret in not starting when you know you should have. And don't do that to yourself. Like you may even have some layers of regret in your own life for things that you know that you should have been doing, and you let some of these things kind of push you aside. Hopefully this drives you and pushes you to kind of do it now, because there is no better time, actually. Like people need so much right now. People are willing to pay for so much right now. We have different needs and everything is amplified. Just think about the way that you feel. Everything is like at least 50% bigger in our lives. Like we just feel everything more. So we're more inclined actually to invest in the things that are going to create long-term real transformations towards the life that we want. So look at this time as an opportunity instead of a time where we're all just being diminished, because we're not. This is actually just a huge expansion for the right type of work. And we need you to be a player in that field, creating those conversations so that everybody doesn't just sit in their homes, like AMELIA said, as numb as they were in corporations. Like, let's go ahead and bring out this life in the world and let people see that within this time where we're able to create more of our life and our schedule, and we're fitting in the complexity of our life with everything that's going on, that we're actually going to be going after more of what we want, and we have more control of our time now than ever. So there's so many gifts in this experience. Let's actually take them as a starting point to make the things that we are meant to do and those places of impact start showing up in the world. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. And, you know, I think we're at the time, but I'm going to spend another 5 minutes here. I hope that's okay with you, Annabelle.
Yeah.
Because there's more questions, and I want to say that this is an important point. Most people, they don't know how to monetize the need. So I want to give you guys permission to just find something to serve first. Like find the thing that lights you up, that you wish you could get paid for, that you do for free. And there are ways to monetize it and to create value around it. And for that, you might need to invest in a coach like Annabelle, or work with a mentor like myself, someone who can help you like really figure out your unique way. And please get creative. There's so many models. There's 100 different types, thousands of maybe millions of business models out there. And you can create one. You can create a whole new business model. I mean, when Facebook came out, they had no idea how to monetize it in the beginning. Like it was just sort of like, oh, we need to connect online and create communities. And, you know, I watched online, many different online businesses have no idea how to monetize. And then slowly, you know, of course, they're data mining and all of that, which we don't like, but actually there's a big benefit in that. 2 questions came in and I want to respond to them. One, Emily asked if there's a fear of success, if we could speak on that. And I personally, Emily, that has always been my hugest fear. And I think it's true for a lot of people when you dig deep, that you're not actually afraid of failure, because I mean, failure is just something that comes with being an entrepreneur. Like, you will fail, like you're going to fail a million times, and that's what keeps you going and keeps you learning. We're actually terrified of success. I am terrified of success. I'm terrified of having a lot of people, I'm terrified of being seen or having a lot of people know me. And it wasn't until I really faced that I could finish and launch my book. Because it was crippling me, that I was so afraid. And then when I saw that it wasn't even like people focusing on me, which is what I thought it was, because I'm an introvert and I thought, oh, I don't want to be in the spotlight. It was actually this weird hidden fear that it was going to transform so many people's lives and make the world a better place. And it was like, well, who am I to bring that? And then when I sat with that, it cracked me open so deeply. And it was like this weird, terrifying, humbling feeling. And I think that it's that brightness that we carry that is so way more terrifying than failure. And for that, we need a practice, and we need mentors and guides. Like, if that coach hadn't held me through that process, I would have never been able to touch it, because it was so buried in my subconscious, and it was completely stopping me. So we need to clear all that stuff out. If you're interested in working with Annabelle, she has an open mastermind. It starts
Monday.
Monday, yeah, like really soon. So the link is in the description of this video, so you can click that. If you're looking to really activate your mission and you want to start mastering your energy and hone your personal gifts, the link to my mystery school course, Activate Your Mission, is there also. So go ahead and click on those, or just ping us. We're both in this group, so you can talk to us personally. There was one other thing I wanted to talk to. Oh, Alvaro said he's a tennis instructor, so that, now he's without work. Do you have any suggestions for someone like that?
Oh yeah. So don't undervalue the power of information. And I know, so I have in my group right now a Pilates instructor and a group fitness instructor, and they both have brick and mortars. They have that overhead of rent that they're tackling, and they have this deep knowledge and this deep relationship with people where they're, normally having a room of people where they can bring them together. There's that sense of community, and now they're challenged with putting that online. So absolutely, I don't think it would be a difficult pivot to teach like home tennis lessons. Just be creative and just don't let it stop you. Like, whatever you were doing before, it's always the quickest pivot to just put that online. You have Zoom is free. You could just reach out to your existing clients and say, okay, home tennis lessons, let's just rewrite how you could do this at home. Let's find a tennis court around you that is safe or you're allowed to go to, if you're allowed to do that in your area. Let's rewrite how we do it, but let's do the same thing that we were doing before. And actually, just think about how many people probably would want to learn home tennis right now. Like, just something to do with your body, something to learn, something fun that doesn't take a lot of brain power. Just
maybe they could be practicing like against the wall and perfecting their, you could get really into the perfection of the grips and the different hits or something. Or working on all the other like things that you love about tennis. Like, if you think of why you love tennis and all the ingredients of that, and then how you could bring that experience into people's homes right now who are missing tennis. You might have a whole new audience. Like, maybe it's not beginners learning tennis. Maybe you're linking up with pros, or you're creating a worldwide tennis network of people, like finding innovative ways to practice alone or play, like Annabelle say, like maybe you see a side by side you could like hit, and I don't know, maybe there's a whole new sport waiting to be developed. Get creative, you guys, and have fun. Like, really, running a business is like such a creative outlet for me. Like, I feel that I can bring all of me to my business, like all the aspects of me. When I do my retreats, I bring in everything that I love, like hiking and dancing and drumming and all the like camping, like I love camping out where in the woods where there's nothing. And I've crafted, you know, some of you here have been on my rebirth and renewal vision quest, you know, conscious camping quest, where I bring in the silence, but I like to talk and I like community, and, you know, I just weave them together. So whatever your bliss is and whatever lights you up, there's somebody else out there that is going to love that unique combination. So it might be similar to another business model. Like there's lots of transformational retreats out there. There's lots of people doing similar things, but not with like my flair, my style, or my angle. So it makes mine unique. And so you all have that. Everybody has that. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. Thank you, Annabelle, for sharing your time. I love chatting with Annabelle. I have to get in my like weekly talks with her just to like keep myself sane. But yeah, please reach out, you guys. Thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.